So Ms. Juarez has had her tea, and we're going to start today by doing the math warm-up, number of the day, with our number 130. So as usual, we're going to start by writing out the number. So write out 130 at the top of your paper. 130. So now that we have our paper set up, we're going to have 3 minutes to show off our best thinking. Get ready. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so I'm going to hold that thought right there. I'm going to put that thought on pause. So let's see what are some of the ideas we might have come up with. So I started off by kind of breaking down the number into 130 just because I can manipulate the numbers by breaking them apart into hundreds, tens, and ones. And then after I put that number sentence down, I looked at the 30 and thought, wait, I could break that apart even further by making 100 plus 20 plus 10, and that would be pretty much the same number sentence that I wrote at the top. And then at the bottom, I started to get a little bit creative and tried to make 50 by making the number sentence 10 plus 40, and then I did 2 sets of those to make 50, and I put the arrow pointing over here so that I would have 50 plus 50, which would lead to 100, and then I added 20, and then I added 10 more to make 130. Then I thought of the strategies that we've been working on in math with the counting on and also our choral counts, and I thought maybe I could start my next idea by doing one of those. So then I started by doing counting on by tens. So I started at 0 and then I kept counting on by 10. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120, 130. And that's how I got to 130 by counting by tens. But as I mentioned before in class, sometimes it makes it a lot easier when you're doing this strategy to not just label your numbers at the bottom, but also labeled at the top so that someone who is looking at your work can easily see by what number your bumps are increasing. So since my bumps are increasing by 10, I'm going to label each bump at the top as plus 10. And at the bottom, I did a similar strategy, but this time I was counting by 20s. So at the bottom of my bumps, I'm going to go back and relabel my work with 20s. 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120. But then I thought, you know what? If I kept counting my 20s, I would get to 140. So instead of doing another bump by 20, I did my last bump by 10. But without labels, someone who's looking at my work might not know that. So I'm going to go back again and label my bumps not just at the bottom, but also at the top. So plus 20 for my bumps that are at the top. And then my last bump here was a bump by 10. So I'm labeling plus 10. Then I thought, you know what? Looking at my paper, I have a lot of strategies where I'm putting numbers together. So I thought maybe I could break numbers apart and take numbers away. So I did the number sentence. 200, take away 50, take away 10, leads to 140, take away 10 would lead to 130. And then I thought back to that idea that we've been working on, that 0, when you use it in a number sentence, is sort of an empty value. You don't affect the equivalency of a number on the left or the right. So I did the number sentence 130 plus 0 is the same as 0 plus 130. I broke my number right here at the bottom apart into hundreds, tens, and ones. And then I thought I would do a picture representation of what that would look like. So again, we're going to have about 1 more minute to think of some more ideas to put on our paper. So get your thoughts ready. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay, so I'm going to hold that thought for later in case I decide to go back. So when I thought of what other strategies I could use, I was thinking about number facts that I already know. So one of the number facts that came into my head was 9 plus 4, because I know at the top of my head that 9 plus 4 is the same as 13. And I thought, if I added zeros to those two values, then that would become 90 and 40. And so that should lead me to 130. So that's why I decided to do that. And then right here, I kept thinking of other facts that I know that would help me in creating some more ways to make 130. And I know that 25 plus 25 makes 50. So I kept counting and adding 25 until I got to 130. So 25, 50, 75, 100, 125, and I just added 5 more to get to 130. And then for my last number sentence that I had time to add, I counted actually the amounts of times I used 25 in the number sentence prior to the one I wrote, and I saw that I used 5 groups of 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I represented that on my paper by doing the number sentence 5 groups of 25 plus 5 more would lead to 130. So that's all the time we have for today. Can't wait to see you again tomorrow.